Hancock 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee. Yes, the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee, the home of Dolly Parton, Alvin York, and others, and thankfully me, for the time being, right? Good to see you guys. It's been a while. I'm sorry I have been negligent. I've not done a Shooting the Breeze for probably, I don't know, a month or two. I meant to do one a few weeks ago and just couldn't get to it. A little more on that. So thought I'd do a short one today and chat with you a little bit about some things, maybe Orlando, the NRA meeting. Haven't talked to you, I don't think, since I was back from there. What else? The elections upcoming, and who knows? We might talk about some of these beautiful leaves that you're seeing in the background. So, and then we'll chat a little bit about where the heck I've been. Okay, got to tell you, not many people know about it, just a few, but I lost a serious knife fight. Okay, now I know you shouldn't go to a knife fight without a gun, really, and that way you can pretty much avoid a knife fight. But I happened to get into a pretty serious knife fight in Nashville. And I would gross you out and show you the scar. It's about that long, about 18-20 stitches, deep, very deep, 3-4 other holes, in my side. And it's kind of kept me out of commission for the last 3 weeks. So you're probably wondering why I would get into a knife fight and who I'd get into a knife fight with. Well, a couple of surgeons at Vanderbilt, namely Shannon Eastham and William McMasters. Okay, they won the knife fight. Okay, I think probably because they put me under. They put this thing over my face, and they were just talking to me like normal, and I went to sleep. So I've been giving them a hard time for the last 2 weeks about putting me to sleep and then taking out my body parts. They probably got them on eBay somewhere, gallbladder, get it here, So yeah, that's the knife fight I was in. I lost the knife fight, again, because I was unarmed and I was asleep, all right? And I think they even had me strapped down to this bed type affair. So yeah, I had a little change of plan. It wasn't on my calendar. I've looked at my Google Calendar, which I use religiously every day, and update it, and there was nothing on there about my having surgery a couple of weeks ago, so it just popped up. So yeah, I've been having some weird things bothering me, and then in fact we did 3 or 4 videos that week. Been 3 weeks ago now, I guess, and we did. My gosh, we did the most recent posting as I speak. The gun sock video, a gun storage video, was the last day. That was the last day I was semi-normal, if I've ever been normal. And the next day, the middle of the night, I started having pain, and about 2 a.m. it would not subside at all. And my wife was in shock when I suggested about 6 o'clock. I got all my stuff together, everything locked up, and I said, we're going to have to go to the doctor. We're going to have to go figure this one out. It's not getting any better. And it was like someone was stabbing me with a knife, speaking of knives. And so we did, and long story short, it was noon before we finally realized, before I got relief, but it was probably 10 o'clock before I realized nothing was going to happen quickly enough at the doctor's office, my doctor's office, and we headed over to the Vanderbilt emergency room, and man, those folks were wonderful, wonderful. The evaluation, the time they took, the care. It's not anything like the horror stories you hear. Now, the next time I go, it might be a horror story, but man, it was not then. It wasn't even crowded, and folks were great. The nurses, the surgeons, the internists, everybody. They were very concerned about figuring out what it was, and went through all that. And then as soon as they possibly could, they couldn't give you pain medicine right away. Boy, did I need it. That's what I told my wife. I said, we're not going home. We're not going to go get tests made and then go home and wait on the test. I got to have relief one way or the other, whether it's go to a street corner on some corner in Nashville and get some illegal drugs or get legal drugs at Vanderbilt. I mean, one way or the other, I had to have relief. And that's no joke. It was a long 12 hours. But anyway, it was my gallbladder, and turns out that's what it was. About 3 years ago, I had a little weird episode, and they figured out that's what it was, because it was so bad, so inflamed, eaten up. It was full of gallstones. I know you're glad to hear about all that, right? One of them was the size of a ping pong ball. That's what the surgeon said. And so that was, I guess, the one that was causing the biggest problem on that Friday. And oh man, I've never been in that kind of pain for that length of time. And then the 5 days in the hospital were pretty painful too, for lots of various reasons, after they cut me open and all that, and various pain medicines and all that. But again, I can't complain too much. I'm on the heel. No cancer, nothing like that, just a gallbladder, which we can all do without pretty well. And so hopefully, because I'm doing without one. But that's what it was. And I spent some miserable days in the hospital, and some pretty bad days recovering out of the hospital. Had 2 tubes hanging out of me and draining, and in one even after I got home for about a week, and got that out now. So I got all the holes plugged, and they're kind of healing, and the big main wound is healing. Normally with a gallbladder, they can go in and they put like 3 holes in you and go in there and what they call laparoscopy or something, and they can do it like that, and it's just a few days recovery. But no, I got the full treatment. I got my money's worth, man. I got the Bowie knife across the ribs. And so anyway, put me in my place. It's a good reminder of mortality, no doubt about it. And just thankful it was just a gallbladder. And so hopefully it seems to be healing okay. And so I can't lift anything over 10 pounds, so I can't lift the tractor. Can't even lift the cats. Both cats we have weigh 11 pounds, wouldn't you know it? So I'm lucky I don't have to lift the dumb things. But anyway, I thought I'd let you know that, because a few people I've run into have mentioned it too. I don't want to get exaggerated, but it was just a gallbladder, but a very, very bad one, let's put it that way. So I think I'm over that. And I think I forgot to turn my phone down. Got me something to drink here in case I need a swig of something. I haven't been talking a lot lately, other than giving the surgeons a hard time, and my wife and John, and they've been really good. Yep, spam. I don't answer spam calls unless I recognize the number. I don't answer it anyway. Home phone, cell phone, which is another topic. I ignore anything unless it's something I've requested or it's coming from somebody I know. But anyway, so I'm over that. I'm not over it. I've got several weeks of recovery. But the good news is I am recovering, and we are going to do our first video today, this afternoon. Sure are. And I've had 5 or 6 guns in. Got a LCR in 22 caliber, 22 Magnum. After we did the last one on long rifle, there were several requests to do 22 Magnum. So yeah, it sounds like a plan. So I had all these in before the bottom dropped out. So I've got a 45 Colt caliber and a Heritage Rough Rider. I didn't know they offered one, and a big bore. There you go. So shot it a little bit yesterday. And what else do we have in? I know what I've got. I've had a lot of requests for a Walther P99 AS. For some reason, thousands of people have requested that continuously, and so I just finally ordered one of those. And got a Henry lever gun and 357 Magnum. So anyway, some new guns coming up, and then others. So we stay ahead, of course, on our videos, which is why you don't even know about this until now, and probably think I'm joking as it is. Well, I'll show you my scars or sometime. Got the staples out a couple days ago, so it's not quite as vicious looking, but it's very, very sore whenever I move. It's kind of like having a back injury or something, like nothing you can do that doesn't put pressure, on that, in your kind of your abdomen and your gut and all that. And so it's difficult sleeping. I have to sleep on my back, but I'm getting through. Like I say, there's a lot of people in worse shape. I saw a lot of them at the hospital. No matter how much pain you're in, or how bad you think you are, or how much you feel sorry for yourself. Speaking of that, There's people with serious surgery and illnesses because they've had to take cancer out, and they're going to have to go back in, and they're going to do radiation and all kinds of treatments and chemotherapy, and they're going to have to, and then wait a year and see, and then go back in and do it. And they're 5 years old, or they're 90 years old, or whatever they are. So there's a lot of people in really bad shape, and you know who I'm talking about. Some of y'all have gone through that, and a lot of you have probably gone through this or something like it. And it's no fun, but it can always be worse. So I had great care. Speaking of John and my wife, they really took good care of me, and they came to the hospital every day and hung out with me. And John came and stayed late at night, and I remember a couple of nights watching. We watched one of the NBA games while I was there, and I couldn't tell you anything about it. I was on all the pain medicine, and there's something about being in a hospital, and I was on some strong medicine and different things, and lots of antibiotics, and who knows what else. And I had actually hallucinations while I was in there. I remember just brief ones for the most part, other than some weird dreams that didn't seem to end. But yeah, literally seeing things for a moment or two, and then they're not there. That's so. You really go through weird sensations when you're in the hospital. That's really my first time to be in a hospital overnight since I was about 5 years old, having my tonsils taken out, and I barely remember that. So I've just not had that experience. But just being in that bed in that room, and you're on all that medication, and it's just weird. And many of you have been through that. So anyway, I've been lucky I haven't had to go through that. And hopefully this will be the end of that. But anyway, thought I'd catch you up on that about my big knife fight and how I lost. And Shane, I'm sorry I let you down. And but they got a hold of me and shot medicine in me and strapped me down. And so I lost. But I'm on the mend, and we'll probably do 2 or 3 videos this week. So I don't know how you'll be able to tell which videos are pre-op and post-op. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe that's your challenge. For one thing, I've lost 20 pounds. Okay, so that might be a clue, and I don't plan to gain it back. Okay, I mean, this hospital bill will probably be about $300,000 literally, so that'll be my $300,000 diet. Okay, so at least that was one of the positives. So I'm down where I've been trying to get. It was my goal to get down to in the 230s. I'm going to stay there, okay? Mark my word. So what else was I going to talk about? Enough about me, right? But I know some of you would be interested, and then people will mention it, or I'll mention it. I don't want it to get exaggerated. Before you know it, I'll have 49 diseases, and people will, did you hear about Hickok? He's dying. Yeah, he's got 2 days to live. All that kind of thing. So I thought I'd go ahead and let you know what exactly happened. And it is, I'll say just a gallbladder. Boy, if you have to go through that, you won't think just a gallbladder, but when it's all over, it's good that it's just a gallbladder, okay? Believe me. All right, Orlando. It's interesting. I was able to keep up some with comments and things. Hopefully I didn't answer one of your comments or an email when I was having hallucinations in the hospital, and it made no sense, but I have kept up with that, minimally at least. And there have been a couple of people who have asked me about the Orlando thing, and well, my take is on it and all that sort of thing. Someone even said, where's the NRA on this, Hickok, and all that kind of thing. Well, for one thing, it was a terrorist attack. Okay? And in a lot of ways, these bees, in a lot of ways, they want my juice. In a lot of ways, jumping in, the NRA jumping in on something like that, and everybody that's in the shooting world, it in some ways it validates it as a firearms issue. So I was glad to see the NRA not have anything to say about it for a long time. It's a terrorist attack. What I think about it, what I think about it. If I thought that my owning of AR-15 was putting me in a responsible position for things like that happen, well, I wouldn't own AR-15s. I wouldn't own my M1 carbine. I wouldn't own any of my semi-automatic technology, firearms. Semi-automatic technology has been around since, over 100 years. Over 100 years, folks. And so interesting that it's only a problem now. Really? So it's a societal problem. It's a terrorist problem. It's people that want to kill us problem. There is a maniac problem. There will always be a maniac occasionally. But again, as I've said before, you and me owning a firearm has no bearing on that, other than we need the protection, right? Because there will be maniacs, maybe coming from overseas to kill us, maybe as a group because of some crazy religious notions, that they've got in their heads all twisted up. So if anything, it shows the need for firearms in the Second Amendment. But yeah, I mean, it's just not a firearms issue, duh. I've said before, I mean, and I know there are people who are just kind of on the fringes who maybe just gotten into firearms. They haven't thought about a lot of this, and it is a horrible thing. I mean, it doesn't get much more horrible when 49 people get massacred, in a nightclub. I mean, it's just horrible. It's just like Sandy Hook. What a nightmare. I mean, what a nightmare. You can't make a horror movie that would equal that. You just can't do it, either one of those. And again, though, it's a terrorist attack. It's a maniac attack, and it might be utilizing some technology that we all have, but it's been around forever. It's just like the alcohol issue. As I've said before, if I really felt like my having an occasional beer, which is rare, but or a glass of wine, is the reason people are killed on the road so often because of alcohol, and so many families are ruined because of alcohol. I mean, the numbers are staggering of families that are affected by people who can't control alcohol, their intake, and then of course killings, murders resulting from it. Killings, murders, not murders, but just deaths on the road, on the highway. Well, I could, if I wanted to get really emotional about it, and not have that occasional beer. When I decide, like about once a month, that beer sounds good. I better not. That makes me compliant. I'm responsible, for all those alcohol-related deaths. If I have a beer. Regardless of the fact that I'm taking it home and I'm going to be sitting on the porch drinking it, that's irrelevant. I'm at fault. Nope, can't have a glass of wine. Can't do that. So, there's a million analogies, there's a million arguments, and I'm not here I'm not the best at making all those arguments. The arguments are out there, the facts are out there, and most of us, we're so aware of it, we get weary of even having to talk about it. That's another reason to not jump on the bandwagon. It's just so silly. I'm going to put a link to Coleon Noir's video on this, by the way, in the description of this video. You remind me if I forget. I put it in the description of the most recent video posting, and I posted it on Facebook a day or two ago. Just great. He's wonderful. I met him again at the NRA meeting. A great fellow, and he expresses all this so well. I mean, much better than I could do, and I could work up a video on it, but we just don't do much of that. So look at it, please. If you're not familiar with him, you need to get familiar with him, and you'll enjoy the video. You really will. So click on it and watch it, and it really says all I have to say about the whole 9 yards. Even though I've rambled on it. But anyway, don't let people suck you into this. Now, if you're into firearms and getting into firearms, it's all just so silly. It's so silly. And not the fact that people die. It's tragic. Okay, you bees, go find it over there. And it's rolled back to me. So, yeah, Orlando is a horrible thing. And it's another example, of course, of the danger of a gun-free zone. That's what I think about mostly when I see it, as I think about all those poor people in there at the mercy of whoever could come in. Even though there was security, you think you're safe if you got a security guard, an armed security guard, but you're really not. If you're a potential target, if you're in an area that could be targeted, and that would be a gay club like that, is because those radicals have targeted that population. They make no bones about it. They have demonstrated that, and so having an armed guard is not enough for sure. Obviously, as we saw, it's not enough to keep out a determined murderer, with a rifle of any kind. It's not enough. It could have just easily been two as well, instead of just one. So that's not enough. You need really, really good security if you're in any gun-free zone, but especially one that has been targeted and historically. So, gun-free zones are scary places. I avoid them like the plague if at all possible. Unless you're going into a federal building, with lots of agents walking around armed, that kind of thing. There are places where it doesn't bother me as much. You got serious metal detectors, lots of security. You're probably all right. But man, if it's a situation where all someone has to do is get past that one security guard and his handgun or her handgun, that can be done. They know right where he or she is, and pop them and go on. So obviously the answer is carry permits. Really, it is. I made a comment on Facebook posting, and there were people that took issue with that. I made some comment about how I'd rather people were carrying guns in there, than have that happen. Well, I'm not advocating mixing alcohol and guns, and everybody should be able to pack a gun and go drink it up all night and that sort of thing. But then again, someone who is qualified and been vetted, your background is checked, and has a carry permit and a firearm, they're probably not so much going to go and get the dog drunk, Again, if I'm in a gun-free zone, that's just me. I would rather run the risk of somebody, like I said, I haven't done a lot of talking lately. I would rather run the risk of a firearms accident or something. If someone dropping their guns, they had too much to drink, I don't know. That stuff just generally doesn't happen anyway. But then be at total risk of annihilation and have no way to fight back. So think about how many people. Again, I'm not advocating mixing alcohol and guns. None of us ever does that really. But then again, on the reality side of it, I'm just thinking of the least worst scenario, maybe lesser of two evils. How many people leave a bar every night of the week? How many thousands, tens of thousands, and get in a 4,000-pound vehicle and drive across town home and all that kind of thing, But yet you can't even have a firearm on your person to touch it, on your person if you take a drink in most states, So, I don't know, maybe some of that's a little unrealistic. Maybe it is like drive. Maybe I think there's a state or two like that where you can actually have a firearm and be having a drink, but you can't exceed a certain level, just like for driving. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm just kind of rambling, but I know gun-free zones, very, very unsafe places to be. The anti-gun left, loves them. Well, they hate guns in general, right? They're like, I was thinking, they're like a what's that doll that used to be around I don't know if it was Chatty Cathy or what. As I was growing up, the girls would have I didn't have any, I promise, but the girls would have these dolls with a pull string. I don't know if they still make those or not, because I haven't had daughters. But you pull a string and it'd say something, "Oh, I love you," or whatever. "Give me a hug," or something, And that's what the anti-gunners are like. Whenever anything happens, it's like, okay, someone touched them, pulled their string. We need to ban guns. We need to ban guns. We need to ban guns. Guns are the fault, They just jump right into it. It's just automatic. They've got the tape in their head or in their vocal cords, and it just pops out. So, it's so tragic. There's no doubt about that. But it's not a firearms issue. People with common sense know that. It's a society issue. It's a lot of different things, but it's not firearms. And you enjoy your firearms, and be sure you're voting. It's all the more reason, as you can see. Now, as I sit here and yak at you on the tractor, I shouldn't have thrown away my drink. I might need a sip here. But the 4 anti-gun bills that were proposed in the Senate, all got knocked down right away. There's at least some common sense, in Senate and Congress. People realize that. They're going to propose this stuff We got to make sure it doesn't get anywhere. So if you're not registered, get registered and vote in this election in the fall. Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I tell you what, I don't know if there is somebody to vote for. Okay, I'll just be honest with you. And I mean, there's people I want to like, but I can't like a lot. All I know is there are people you cannot vote for. All right, if you're a firearms person, if you're a freedom-loving person, and you support the Second Amendment, I don't have to get into the party politics. I don't have to mention names. This is not exactly rocket science. It's pretty darn obvious who we cannot let get elected because of the Supreme Court. Literally in 8 years, if certain folks get elected, it's one of these deals where it's a good thing I've enjoyed my life of firearms. You probably won't. You will not have. A lot of you will make comments that I want to be Hickok when I get old, that kind of thing, which I appreciate and I find flattering because I do have a great life. Even if I do get into the occasional knife fights, and get setbacks, you got to vote. You got to vote, or you're not going to have the same privileges and rights that I have enjoyed my entire life. You're really not, because so many of the decisions in recent years and decades have hung right on the balance. You have 5-4 votes on the Supreme Court, and that could all be out the window really soon. Okay, so you got to vote for the lesser of two evils. If that's what it comes down to, that's kind of what it is for me. One of them is way more evil than the other, let's put it that way. And you got to vote, and you got to stay in touch with your Congress, with your senators, your congressmen, and your local representatives. Join your state organizations. Okay, you have no choice. A lot of people are pulling the load, people that are already members of the organizations, whether it's the NRA, the Gun Owners of America, Second Amendment Foundation, your state organizations. Join as many as you can. Send your money. Vote with your dollars, and go vote with your finger in the fall. Okay, very, very important. It's going to affect most of you more than it will me. Like I say, from a selfish standpoint, I've had a great life with firearms. I plan to have a lot more years with it, but I mean, I'm just afraid some of you are not going to have the fun I've had. When you're 40 or you're 50 or you're 60, it's just not going to be there for you if we don't keep the fire burning. All right, so the election, big deal. All right, what else was I going to yak about? I better shut up here in a minute. Well, the NRA meeting, I had a great time up there. I met a lot of you. John couldn't make it, so it was my task to greet many of you. So I appreciate your support, and it was great to see you. I didn't know I was a walking time bomb at the time, but anyway, the bomb has gone off now. That's a good thing. So don't have any big surprises down there lurking. So I got home, got that taken care of, and I really think I'll be better than ever now. I mean, I've already noticed a few things, and I mean, my gallbladder was so bad. I mean, the surgeons, man, they can't believe I wasn't having more trouble, and then they said it had to have been going on for years. So once I get over the pain of this, and I'm eating right, I'm eating better than ever now, and I'm eating regularly and everything, getting my strength back, I might feel better than I have in a long time. I might be able to shoot better. Now, I won't be lifting any BARs for a while. I think they exceed the 10-pound limit, but we'll do some light gun videos. But anyway, I had a great time at the NRA meeting, met a lot of folks, you all, and just a lot of folks from the gun companies, and got to look at a lot of firearms, made a list of some different firearms that we want to get in to do videos with, and so that's been good. What else? So I've got a meet and greet coming up. It's in all the descriptions. Be over in East Tennessee. I think it's the July the 9th. Be at the Bud's Gun Shop in Range there in Sevierville. Hope to see you there. Okay, it's at 11 o'clock in the morning. Go for a couple hours. Looking forward to that. I should be well on my feet by then. I'm on the tractor now, so I mean, I'm not too bad shape. It's funny, I asked the surgeons when we were in a couple days ago, and they took out the staples and stuff. I said, I said, William McMaster's, great guy. Both of them, Eastham and McMaster, young surgeons, and really personable. They just fly in the face of all the stereotypes and any surgeon, most of them you've ever met. Very personable, great people. Fun, you know. I mean, I would give them a hard time, joking, but I just was asking about some of the things I do. So, can I get on the tractor? Coach, can I ride the tractor? He's telling me all the things I can't do. I said, well, can I ride my tractor, you know, mow with it, you know, and all that sort of thing. So I had to go through the list of the weird stuff that I do that probably most of the people don't do. They're at Vanderbilt getting surgery. But I forgot to ask him about hard kicking firearms. So I don't know. I don't think I'll be shooting 458 Win mags for a few weeks. But anyway, I'm on the tractor, and I don't drive it as fast, so I did notice that. I was glad to get the okay on the tractor. So I got out on it the other day, and thought, well, this is good. I can do this, you know. So I got on it very carefully, except when I was bush hogging at my normal speed, it was killing me. So I had to drop down to first gear, but I can still do it. So anyway, I'm rambling, but and I'm virtually off the pain medicine, so I can't blame it on that. I'm just taking one kind of weird thing a day, and it's not one of those pain pills that makes you float or anything like that. And I had some of that, the old Oxy. I didn't take that very long. I didn't want to get hooked on it, for one thing, because that stuff makes you feel awfully good. But this other stuff is kind of a nerve blocker, sort of supposed to help. I'm not sure it does or not, but I'm still taking it. But it doesn't really affect your mind, or it's not something like, oh boy, I'd like some more of that. It makes me feel good. It doesn't. It's just the opposite. And I'll be pretty much off that in about a week, I think. So anyway. I'll wrap up. Again, don't let the Orlando thing, well, think about those people a lot. Pray for them, whatever you want to do, because it's so sad. It just makes you sick. It just makes you sick. But just keep in mind the logic. Get some of the emotionalism out of it, and try to remain sensible and use common sense. You know, obviously, if gun control, some new gun law would fix this, why didn't it fix it in Paris or Mumbai? You know, I mean, it's just so illogical to blame it on the firearms, and we all know that. So keep fighting the good fight, and keep shooting. It's summertime. So enjoy the outdoors and get out there and shoot, get to an indoor range, whatever you have to do, and enjoy those firearms. Keep them from rusting. You saw my recent video. and take care of them. They're a lot of fun, and you wouldn't be watching this if you were, I hope, if you're some kind of weird terrorist or anything. We're the people that have to carry the load and the argument and keep freedom alive, really. It's a shame, but we're like, I'm not a hugely political person, and I get criticized sometimes for not doing a bunch of political videos all the time. We just like going about our business and being left alone. Most shooters, that's just the way we are. We do find ourselves, though, because of the other side, we have to be on the defense at times, and so we can't ignore it. But there's people, you're not going to change their mind. They're determined to hate guns. They're determined to hate you because you have guns. A lot of ways, they just don't like people who have guns. They scare them, or I don't know what it is exactly. There's some people, you just can't change their minds. But what you can do, though, is you can vote, and you can support gun rights organizations. So that's what I do. I just channel that energy into something that will help, okay? Whether I can change this idiot I work with, his mind, you know, I mean, there comes a point when of diminishing returns too. If they're absolutely not going to change, just drop it. You just need to go on and represent the shooting community well, and you know, forget it. You know, they're not going to change. So anyway, I'm glad to see y'all. It's good to be back and to talk to you again. And like I say, we got 2 or 3 videos we're going to do this week. So I'm not going to be running any foot races, but we're going to do a couple of videos and get back into it. So you guys take care. Yep, life is still good.